Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. We have two very, very exciting discussions coming up for you today. The first one is with West End, dare I say legend, the wonderful Jon Robyns, where he'll be talking about going into Les Mis and also his new album, Musical Direction. You'll also hear a song from the new album, which is very, very exciting. And then you'll hear an interview with Nick Chiappetta and Suzie Aries about a wonderful concert coming to the Other Palace on Monday the 21st of October called West End Misfits, which is a fundraiser for Suzie, who is currently undergoing very, very expensive cancer treatment. So, I hope you enjoy this episode. I will shut up and hand you over to the people who have real talent and stories to tell. Thanks.
Musical Talk.
I'm sat across from the delightful Jon Robyns. Hello, Jon. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you again for coming back on Musical Talk. Last time we spoke, you were about to go into the rock musicals.
Yeah, best
concert.
of rock musicals at Hammersmith. Yeah.
How did that go?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Performing in that venue was amazing because you're aware that you're on the
stadium.
stage. Oh, it's a stadium feel, yeah. And the band were incredible. It was a massive orchestra, and it pretty much sold out, which made some really good money for a great charity.
Yeah, big theatre to sell out as well.
Yeah,
it's 5,000-6,000 seats.
Yeah,
or something ridiculous.
And it feels like it when you're performing it as well. And we did one number from Dear Evan Hansen at the end, and everyone got their phones out with the lights, and there are some brilliant pictures.
I saw Nativity there,
right,
which had the same moment where the whole theatre went black and everyone has to get their...
Maybe it's a contractual obligation. You have to do
it was so bizarre because the amount of light it created.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a fake light also on.
No.
But when 5,000 people get a phone out and shine it, that can create a massive amount of nits. We wanted to talk to you today about your album, which is very exciting, but I want to first mention a new thing you're going into, some new musical.
A new thing?
Yeah. Workshop.
An old new thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it is an old new thing, because it's a new thing of a... It's something only Cameron Mackintosh could get away with, which is restaging a musical that is iconic. You're going into Les Mis.
Yes. I'm going to do Les Miserables for the third time.
Needs no introduction. And who are you playing this time?
This time I'm playing Jean
Madame
Valjean.
Thénardier?
Yeah, well, we'll work up to that.
Yeah.
That's the challenging role.
So again, you're playing who?
I'm playing Jean Valjean.
Lovely. But it's a production that's already 10 years old?
Yes.
9 years old?
Yeah, it was the 25th anniversary production tour that I did en Gérès in the first... Honduras. So I was part of the first company that did the new production, and that was 2009, 2010, and then that led straight into the O2 20th anniversary concert. In fact, we ended on the same day.
There was a time when Les Mis 3 productions were playing in London on the same night.
I did 5 Les Mises in 2 days.
Wow.
Because we did a end of the tour at the Barbican at 10:30 and 2:30 on a Saturday, and then
10:30.
Yeah, 10:30 Les Mis
in the morning.
Yeah, that was exhausting, but
it's like pantomime.
It is. My performance was and then we did a dress rehearsal. Did a dress rehearsal for the O2 on Saturday night, and then 2 shows of the O2 on Sunday. So I did 5 Les Mises in a weekend, and lots of people doing the O2 did that.
Dare I ask, what is it about it that makes you want to go back and do even more of it?
Because I just think it's... Well, everyone of my generation had grown up with it. I think I'm really the third generation of performer to inherit this show. And it's a benchmark. It's a benchmark of a show. It's a generational defining piece of art, really. And it's had such a massive influence. And I fell in love with it as a teenager when I saw it, and then when you do it, you fall deeper in love with it. And I just have such a warm place in my heart for this show.
It always changed the vocal style, the way people sing songs. Because suddenly you got these very high... I mean, almost it's not operatic, but it is kind of treated as European grand opera, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's what now referred to as crossover, because I think it really started that crossover between pop and opera.
Popera.
But yeah, that popera thing. I think it was really the beginning of that. And, you could never put a voice like Francis Raffel into a classical opera, but in this context it worked perfectly. So...
Because they are written as pop songs. They're very pop song.
Well, they are, except...
but with an orchestral...
Yeah, and there's recitative, like there are in classical Mozart operas, So yeah, it's sort of moved the genre forward in that respect. And when you pick it apart, it's incredibly clever.
Yeah,
like it is a genius piece of writing. It's a masterpiece, and that's why no matter what happens with the production, whatever's on the page is bulletproof, and that's why it's been so successful. Because it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter who's doing it, but as long as you've got people that can do it, which they've always managed to do.
As long as they sing what's written.
As long as they sing what's written and they're able to do it, then it will be a success. And the new production is more cinematic, more 21st century.
It's what Les Mis would be now if Cameron were to open it now.
And the thing about masterpieces generally is that they do stand up to different productions,
Shakespeare and opera.
Right. So you can do as many Ring cycles as you like. You can do as many Hamlets as you like. You can, these things hold up.
Yeah. One of the bits that stuck with me when I saw it at the Barbican, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it again, is, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but there's a wonderful suicide scene which has got Cameron written all over it, hasn't it? And it's wonderful things like the orchestrations have since gone back. When I last saw Les Mis, the orchestrations written for the 25th anniversary production were put into the London show. So, but things like an organ, which is really, and there's a lot of electric guitar now in the orchestra, which is really quite...
They've beefed up the brass as well, and they've massively beefed up... I apologise, that's my phone.
That's right.
They've massively beefed up the percussion setup.
Oh, cool.
There is a 360-degree percussion setup.
Okay.
And I remember when we started the tour, the Sitzprobe was on my birthday, so I'll always remember it. And looking at this percussion was just amazing, because it's not just tuned and untuned percussion, but there's also things like cups and buckets and glass, and it's amazing because they wanted all these.
Maybe just drinks a lot, the person.
I mean, he did, but that's by the by. Most bands do.
So you're going in, and they're renaming the theatre for it. So it's no longer the Queen's Theatre; it's now the Sondheim Theatre.
The Sondheim too.
Bit of a shame for Sondheim to have a show not of his go into the theatre, but I'm sure he'll cope.
Well, he's the only guy to have two theatres named after him on either side of the Atlantic, so I'm sure he's not too upset.
No, but it's amazing how it's. I think it will be the event of next year, won't it? New theatre, massive.
And he's 90, so it's to it's to celebrate his 90th birthday.
Yeah, I love the paint. The projections are very cool in the show. I don't miss the Revolve.
No.
There's more. The reason I liked that production more is I'm not the cleverest person in the world. So when I saw the Barbican production, I remember saying to myself, "Oh, that scene takes place in a hospital."
Right.
Okay, so it's a lot more literal, this production, as opposed to the kind of very RSC way of, hey, we're kind of representing this by a table or something like that.
It's a funny thing, and when having been in it and looking at it from the inside out rather than from a punter's point of view inwards, there are lots of things that got left to the side when they cut it down from 4 hours to 3. Because it was originally 4 hours long.
8 days to...
Right, exactly. So there were lots of things that got left out. There were lots of things that have sort of become assumed in the original production. And having done it, you can feel the jumps.
Yeah.
And I think when we were rehearsing the 25th anniversary production in 2009... there are certain brick walls that you come up against where you go, okay, exactly what is this? How are we going to feel our way around this? How are we going to clarify this? And Lawrence Connor and James Powell, who are the co-directors, spent a lot of time really agonising over making it as clear as possible. Because it's French, because it's so long, because it takes place over 40 years, there are things that need to be made crystal clear to an audience who may not know it. So yeah,
especially
I think
lots of tourists who come in.
Especially lots of tourists whose first language might not be English anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a clarifying exercise. Like there was a point in rehearsals where we were debating whether "Drink with Me" was a song or a conversation, and it's not something you really think about because it's a song through musical. It's important to recognise when the characters are speaking, albeit with a tune, and when the characters are singing to each other, because "Drink With Me" could very easily be a campfire song they sing to each other. Is it
diegetic or non-diegetic?
Right. So it's...
Those are the words you know how to look up when you go
home. So that sort of clarification needed doing, and I think, the new production really stands up on its own in those respects.
Because they only added the projections saying after the prologue it was however many years later, until quite late into the original run. So that must have been confusing for the original audiences.
Yeah.
To not know that we jumped time.
No, absolutely, and it's really important.
Yeah.
I mean, you can grey up people's beards as much as you like, but it doesn't necessarily
mean... a bit more.
Right, so it doesn't... Also, people don't necessarily realise that the children singing are the grown-ups 10 years later. So, it's important to be as crystal clear with these things as possible.
We want to talk about your new album, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's called Musical Direction, and it's my second album. I did one in 2011, so it's been 8 years since I did.
Your voice is broken.
So. My voice is broken since then, so it's useful.
Walking in the air is...
Yeah, it's not like that. It's not like that. And I've done a lot in the last 8 years, and moved. Who I am has moved forward, as you would hope.
Who am I?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a look at what's been happening over the last 8 years, and I named it Musical Direction because it occurred to me that a lot of what I do is decided by others, and most of the time it's the musical directors. So how I say something, what I say, the phrasing of it, it's all a conversation. And I've worked with some of the most incredible MDs in the country, and I really wanted to sort of celebrate them. So each track is arranged and orchestrated and played on the album by a different MD, and it makes it sound eclectic and a really cool mix of stuff.
But were you trained by the same MD for every song, or did the person doing the playing or arranging or orchestrating also train you for that specific song?
They all did the specific ones, and most of the tracks on the album are musical theatre songs from shows that I've either done or would like to do, and then there's some pop stuff in there and some folk stuff in there, and so most of the MT tracks are done by the MD that I did the show with.
Did you have any composer, arranger, orchestrator, MD come in and play their own songs? Because that's where it can get a bit kind of protective, I find. Yeah,
no, they're all covers. There aren't any original songs on there. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Because I have done workshops of new musicals, and you do work with the composer that's also the MD, and then it gets very specific. And my job as an actor is to interpret other people's ideas and present them to an audience. So it's always about respecting what's there for that person.
And were you given complete freedom over what songs you were to do, or did you have to cut some? Or
there were a couple of ideas that didn't come to fruition. That you can't do as many as you'd like. Finance is one, and people getting bored is another, and time and all those things. So.
But one thing which isn't I would guess, forgive me for interrupting, I would guess is not an issue is length.
On a CD?
Yeah, because do we do CDs?
Well, I did do CDs. It was a definite debate. I also did a tour through September of the album, and I asked people on social media whether they wanted CDs, and it was a resounding yes. So we printed a few, but it is funny now with digital downloads. Length is really not going to be a consideration for most people. But
it's what you do with it that counts. So what I mean, tell us some of the musical theatre songs on the album that we...
Well, Bring Him Home's on there. Michael England, who was our MD for the 25th anniversary tour, did a beautiful arrangement of classical guitar and cello, which sounds gorgeous, and he's incorporated various other musical themes from the show into the arrangement, which is very clever.
That's a hard sing, isn't it?
Bring him home.
Yeah,
it is and it isn't.
For me, who can't sing,
ask me. Ask me in context. So we'll see once I've done 2 hours of show, and then ask me. But it's about, and I think a lot of musical theatre singing is about this, but it's about placement choice. So where are you choosing to put that sound? In which part of your anatomy are you choosing to resonate the noise with? So those are just decisions, and then it's a case of practicing those decisions until they become muscle memory. But we'll see. Doing it in an isolated studio by itself was not too bad. Doing it,
you could stop,
or listen back to it and go, no, don't like that one. There are a lot of outtakes, so
that's the other album.
Yeah, sure. Musical misdirection.
Yes, very good. Forbidden Broadway did a version of that song called God It's High,
yeah,
which is wonderful. And how he hits that stratospheric note at the end is beyond me, but shows how iconic Les Mis is, doesn't it? What else springs out?
Sarah Travis, who was our musical supervisor for the Sister Act tour in 2016, I think. Yes.
She's the Curtains, which I saw.
Who's just done Curtains, yeah, who's on tour now.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I mean, she's got 2 Tonys, and she's just one of those. I know a lot of geniuses. Genii, and she's definitely one of them.
She's very clever with making a small sound massive.
Yeah,
that's
because
what she's excellent at.
She understands not just the maths of the musical problem. She also understands the harmonics of it, and she understands musical phrasing so well, and what's going to work on an ear, and she's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And so she did a new orchestration of I Could Be That Guy from Sister Act, which is the song I sung in the show.
What strange style is that done in? Is it staying in disco, or is it...
Oh, no, it's not quite disco. It's more a sort of late 70s, early 80s chilled jazz type vibe on it. And it's got a great sax solo in the middle, which is very cool. What else have we got on there? We've got Jailhouse Rock, which is great fun. And then there's some pop numbers. There's a Billy Joel number in there that's MD'd and played by... Vienna.
Oh, lovely.
Which is MD'd and played by Richard Beadle, who's our Hamilton MD. And he and I bonded over Billy Joel, so it was just natural that we were going to do that.
We need a proper Billy Joel jukebox musical.
Well, there was Moving Out.
We need a proper Billy Joel jukebox musical.
Yes, it was confused as to what it was, Moving Out. I remember seeing it, and I remember thinking, I love all the specific elements of this, but the sort of the whole... got.
Or we just need Billy to write a musical, and he's always said he loves them. You can tell from his writing that
his writing is narrative.
Yeah.
It just is. You can't not do it.
He grew up listening to Rodgers and Hart and Hammerstein. You can tell that, but he said, I don't have the. He said I could write the first draft very happily, but I wouldn't be able to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. That's the bit that puts him off.
Well, that's what directors and producers are for.
Yeah, or Cameron. But that's a shame. But I love Billy Joel. I think there's another jukebox musical in there, or in all the songs somewhere. Well, that's cool. You get my seal of approval for that choice.
Thank you.
Anything else?
We put Grace Kelly on there. Last year, that's 2018, I was a vocalist on one of the Strictly Come Dancing spin-off tours. So Karen and Kevin Clifton, Dance Live it was called. And Alison Jaya and I, who is an incredible vocalist, if you haven't heard of her, look her up, because that's her voice, were the singers on this tour. And
she just wants to dance.
Right, that's her.
Yeah.
Clive Dunstall was the MD on that, and he's just a brilliant big band arranger, and he arranged this the number Grace Kelly by Mika, so that's on there, which is a great sing, and that's very falsetto-y, so that was good fun to do, and it's a range I don't get to sing much, so that was something I found I really enjoyed.
Not even in the current show you're
in this one, there's a couple of falsetto notes, but it's quick. This is Grace Kelly's there for the whole chorus. What else in that? Hushabye Mountain, which is I did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang at the West Yorkshire Playhouse in 2015, and I just fell in love with that show and that song, and they're very clever, those songs. The Sherman Brothers are just incredibly clever and subtle.
Yes, I'm off to California in a week's time to Disneyland, so I'm going to be engulfed in their small world very, very soon.
Oh my goodness, that song. But yeah, it's the Chitty arrangement, the Hushabye Mountain arrangement sounds like the Eagles. There's acoustic guitars and violins and
so kind of Desperado Mountain.
Yeah,
you could say. Whose idea was it? Did you work with the MDs to come up with these wonderful twisting of songs?
Yeah, I mean, it was partly the reason for doing it was that I wanted to do another album anyway. But playing King George in Hamilton affords me a lot of opportunity to do other projects because I'm only on stage for 9 minutes. So I thought I'm going to need to.
You recorded most of the album the evening of weeknights.
I did most of the arranging. Yeah. There's a lot of emailing going on, but because a lot of these MDs, in fact, I would say all of the MDs are my friends. Yeah. When I spoke to them, they were very keen to do it, and there was a dialogue about what we should do and how, and that takes time because they're all busy working. But yeah, it was a conversation between us and them, and I'm really pleased with the result.
We had a question on Twitter. Do you miss the moustache?
Yeah, that was Sam, wasn't it? No. This is I do not miss the moustache, and neither does anyone else.
Is this a joke that I'm missing somewhere?
So when I was doing Sister Act, I decided that because it was set in the 70s and they gave me this wig, I thought, well, a 70s porn moustache would go down quite well with this look.
Handlebar, I believe, is a technical term.
It was, yeah. So I grew one, and it looked really good with the wig, but then, of course, I had to live with it day to day, and that was a problem.
You should have kept the wig on.
Well, the person who had the biggest problem with it was my wife, and she sort of cried one night and came clean and said, "You've got to get rid of it." So I did the 6 month I was doing the job. I did 3 months with it, and then 3 months with a prosthesis.
That's dedication. So if I saw it in Wimbledon, what would I have seen you wearing?
That was real.
Okay.
That was a real one.
That was and then you probably sold it on eBay or something. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful that you've done this musical journey. You know, you are one of the go-to people when it comes to West End Roz. I'm always seeing your name around. For our younger listeners out there,
mm-hmm.
I know you must get this a lot. What advice would you give to those who want to be sat here in the Victoria Palace dressing room one day?
To do 9 minutes work a night?
Exactly, the dream.
I mean, when I teach at colleges, I say that it's important to be you, because ultimately if you try and be someone else, you're going to fail. So develop your talents and your sound and your style. I think once someone's recognised your talent and your training and your being who you want to be on time, be kind and nice to everybody, and remember that everybody is equal. This is a team sport, so know what you're doing when you show up, and be nice when you're there.
Obviously, when we're working on our craft, we have people that we like to imitate. It's certainly with writers and things. For you, which performers did you look up to when you were younger, and have you ever worked with them?
Yeah, I have.
Michael Ball, perhaps?
Michael Ball, yeah. I do love Michael Ball. Well, he was sort of the one that was on telly when I was growing up, because Les Mis sort of catapulted him to that status, and then Eurovision and all those kinds of things. So I was aware of him. There was him, and it was funny. I only realised this was an influence when I heard it back quite recently. But the original Aladdin film, the animation, which was my favourite growing up, the guy I don't know his name, but the guy who's singing Aladdin in that,
Brad Kane.
There you go.
Yeah.
You see, encyclopedic.
I know.
I didn't realise, but I had been trying to imitate him all through my teens, and I was listening to it going, that's the sound I wanted to sound like when I wanted to sound American. So that definitely got in there. So those sort of Disney Prince noise.
It almost did that in Avenue Q, though, that sound, didn't it?
Yeah. It's that very twangy American place thing. When I saw Jesus Christ Superstar when I was 15 or 16, Fred Johansson was playing Judas that night, and I remember thinking, I want to do that. And when I stood up and...
I want to betray Jesus.
Well, I'm Jewish, we're halfway there. I remember I stood up and did the standing ovation like everybody did, and he gave me a nod in the audience. Like, there was eye contact, he gave me a definite nod, and it really affected me. And I remember thinking, this is what I want to do. And then, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we were doing one of those musicals gigs at the Royal Albert Hall, and he was there, and I told him this story, and he got very shy. So meeting someone like that had such a big influence on me was fantastic. Yeah. So those kind of guys, yeah.
I mean, for me, not that you care, but going back to Aladdin, it was Alan Menken.
Of course.
And we've been best friends, well, not best friends, but we've been friends for 10 years.
Oh,
and it's just weird how, things, if you keep pushing something.
It's funny, isn't it? Because like the sound of Disney when we were growing up was definitely Alan Menken, and before that it was the Sherman Brothers, and now it's Bobby Lopez and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
With Alan Menken redoing everything that he did in the 90s.
Right. Oh, I know, bless him.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's fine with it. But it is funny how, like,
Pasek and Paul are creeping their way into Disney as well.
Of course they are. And, that's the sound of Broadway and movie musicals now. So it's funny how those fashions sort of go round and move along. And the Pasek and Paul stuff is just amazing, and it is a definite sound. And I love musical theatre that has a definite sound. Jason Brown has a definite sound. Andrew Lloyd Webber has a definite sound. Blumel and Schoenberg, a definite sound. These are very identifiable things, and I like identity in that.
In Curtains, Camden make fun of their own sound.
Well, of course they do.
In one song he goes, "You write a riff," and da da and da da. But yeah, I mean it's. I look forward to listening to the album so I can hear the new sounds based on the songs that we all love. If we were to end this interview with a song for the album, that's all right.
Of course.
Which one would you choose? Kill Your Other Babies.
Yeah, I know. It is odd. I guess we could do the When She Loved Me arrangements. My MD that helped me on the tour, Nathan Jarvis, who I've known for 20 years, arranged an a cappella 9 parts, me over me over me over me over me, which took 4 hours.
But he did that.
Right, yeah,
for the
longest time. Right, so that's the sort of sound it gets. It's not a doo-wop sound, it's very much a choir sound. But that's a brilliant arrangement. I've really, really loved singing that, so maybe that one.
Well, Jon Robyns, thank you so much for letting me sit in your beautiful dressing room and talk to you today about your album.
Thank you.
Good luck with it, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Thanks for having me. When somebody loved me, everything was beautiful. Every hour we spent together lives within my heart. And when she was sad, I was there to dry her tears. And when she was happy, so was I. When she loved me. Summer and the fall, we had each other, that was all. Just she and I together, like it was meant to be. And when she was lonely, I was there to comfort her. And I knew that she loved me. So the years went by, I stayed the same. But she began to drift away. I was left alone. Still I waited for the day when she'd say, I will always love you. Lonely and forgotten, never thought she'd look my way. She smiled at me and held me just like she used to do when she loved me. when she loved me. When somebody loved me, everything was beautiful. Every hour we spent together lives within my heart. When she loved me.
It's Nick Chiappetta, Lara DeVelda and Suzie Aries here, taking you away from your regular content for a short while with a segment about an incredible fundraising concert happening next week called West End Misfits that we are performing at the Other Palace Theatre on October 21st at 8 p.m. in order to raise money for Suzie's Aries. We're raising money for Suzie's Aries.
Yep.
Those wonderful Aries, 2 for the price of 1. We're raising money for Suzie's cancer treatment.
Yeah, we're going to give you a brief rundown of the concert, hopefully in order to entice you listeners to come and support this. I know.
Entice. Good
Entice.
word. Whoever wrote this script's a genius. Entice.
Spoiler, it was Nick. We're going to give you a little rundown of the concert, and afterwards Suzie herself is going to tell you her absolutely inspiring story.
Oh, it's not.
No
really.
pressure, Suzie.
No, she's right. It's not at all. I'm joking. So West End Misfits, as the title suggests, is a concert of misfits that myself, Boris, Alexander and Lara DeVelda have put together. And we were initially inspired by the backwards Broadway shows and West End miscasts shows that we've seen where people perform roles they would never be cast for. And if you're not familiar with the concept, parentheses, give a couple of examples.
Yeah, that was where you're supposed to fill it in with
Okay, do you
a
wanna
knowing
give-
glance. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the concept, think, for example, if a role is for a boy, we might have a girl singing a song. Or if it's maybe originally for a black character, we're going to have someone white singing it, or vice versa. Yeah, so that's kind of basically what backwards Broadway means.
So do you want to say about how we originally started the concert?
I know Nick's hitting me. I don't really know why.
Well, okay, why are you
He's-
saying like I'm hitting you?
Punch in the face.
Whoa, okay, this has got aggressive.
So is it where?
So from here, babe, we originally started the concert.
Okay, why were you hitting me?
I was just giving you a knowing tap.
You went like this. For all you listeners, he tapped me and then nodded towards Suzie, like in a secretive
did I?
fashion.
You did. I was like, I have a piece of the script. What?
No,
I don't know what's happening.
Sorry, I was just trying to give you a knowing tap and glance.
A knowing look. We
I
should
was-
mention, by the way, we are in the Cockpit Theatre at the moment.
Yeah, we
in
are.
Marylebone.
We are.
We are. We're
We're
back. We're not just
backstage.
hanging out here because we just have nothing else to do. Which is we're here because Susie's just about to come off doing Voices from Across the World.
By Timothy Thomas.
Yeah.
Wonderful show. Good fun.
Wonderful
Yeah.
show, good fun. Well, you're playing the lead role, aren't you?
I am the lead role in the first musical in the first act. It's made up of 2 different musicals that Tim wrote. It's really good fun, but shame you missed it.
Yes, because
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
coming
going-
out 2 days after. we've
Well
recorded
planned,
this.
guys.
Very well planned.
Well planned. Anyway, yeah, we originally started the concert as a way to poke fun at ourselves. I'm saying me and Nick, because I know you can't see us, listeners, but our castings, myself and Nick and Boris, who we work together quite a lot, and we have received feedback at college or with agents and casting directors or none. As is often the
Basically.
case, that we are quite unique.
Unique looking as well, aren't we?
Unique looking, unique
Yeah.
in style.
Which is a wonderful compliment to get mid-audition. But,
Yeah, but at the same time,
Then when
often
you
means we-
think it over later on, you're like,
yeah.
what does that
that
mean?
was kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, this is great that I'm amazing enough to not get the role. But
Based on my face.
Thank you very much.
So we just decided this would be a wonderful way to express our art in a fun and playful manner. So we decided to take songs that we would never be cast for and perform them alongside some wonderful friends and colleagues.
Yeah, it's a lot of good fun. I mean, we've got some incredible songs that people perform. I mean, I like how I'm saying incredible songs and then
going into
prefacing.
myself.
I personally am going to be.
It was just to give a little example, a tiny synopsis about the song I'm performing is "Show Off" by the Drowsy Chaperone, where Chaperone, where if you're not familiar with the show, it's a song where the young, beautiful ingenue sings about. Yeah, I know.
Classic
it well.
casting.
Classic casting for me.
Yeah.
Where she sings about not wanting to show off anymore on the stage of Broadway and how she couldn't possibly stand the lights and adoration from all of her fans any longer. And I thought, considering that for me, the only thing standing in my way is not being able to do the splits, I'd sing it
Don't
anyway.
put yourself down.
I mean, I am very inflexible for an actor.
A jazz split at best.
A jazz split, I can't
I
even
mean-
walk most of the time. All
Yes,
that
it's more
sounds
like a kind of a tumble
Waddle.
around. Yeah, a waddle.
wrong. Just a little boom.
Imagine that. Can you give us a pirouette?
Nope.
No, but I can waddle.
I can walk into a room.
Want to see me waddle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that Nick's doing that song, and I'm doing a song from the Wild Party. And it's, if you know the storyline, Buzz, one of the main characters, is a pretty nasty guy. He's pretty abusive and nasty, and I'm doing his song. Again, a very natural casting for me.
Very natural.
So it's
very
just
eerie, though.
It is eerie. It is. It kind of makes, I don't know, it gives it a real kind of, you just feel a bit the back of your tongue.
A bit what?
Bit it's a technical term.
Just a little bit. Could you just give me more? Because the piece at the moment is just a bit. Just tongue pop a
Imagine
bit.
best direction from
But we also do have other songs as well. You know, considering we have other songs from shows such as Les Miserables, Spamalot.
You have to say it with
So-
the accent,
You do.
guys.
So do Les Miserables. Spamalot, Matilda, and Suzie here is singing a wonderful rendition of "Waving Through a Window" from Dear Evan
I
Hansen.
love that show.
And you
Yeah,
sound
opening
fantastic. And we also have some new additions this time of actors and our friends and colleagues who are coming to perform, which is going to be really exciting because we don't know what's actually coming.
don't know
So
what's
it's a
coming.
surprise for all.
Nick's direction is ready. Can we just have a little bit more?
No. Just a bit more tongue pop, please.
Yeah.
But one thing we have done, which I think is quite nice for the show, is we've all incorporated the reasons behind each performer's choices to perform their specific song. And out of it, we actually got what we initially intended to be a bit of light-hearted humour after one of our performers said, the song just makes me feel like... Blah, blah. And we were like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
But it's in the script, guys.
It's
so.
in the script, but
it's,
he's not performing at the moment. He's
Oh,
not doing it.
no.
Well, so you won't hear that story. But we actually got some really genuinely heartwarming stories about people
Really
overcoming their
touching.
own,
Really moving, yeah.
like their own adversities and how they've overcome stuff in their day-to-day lives to pursue their dream of performing or just stuff in general. And I think especially nowadays, it's a really poignant reminder that we as performers and people as well, yeah, she's going cringy, as people as well. She went there. Like us as performers, we're all in the same boat a lot of the time. Like we all get that same
Yeah,
feedback,
we are.
like, could you lose 20 pounds? Could you gain 20 pounds? I wish somebody would say that to
and
me.
it's
But-
just awful, especially in such a saturated industry as well. I don't know about you, but I notice a lot of lack of compassion sometimes from
Yeah.
other performers towards each other because we're all, at the end of the day, kind of in this crazy boat where we're put up against each other.
We're all fighting for that one role.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
it
like-
kind of creates this not very pleasant atmosphere a lot of the time.
No.
But then
So,
at the same
yeah.
time, like, I think we're quite lucky because, at least speaking from us, from my perspective anyway, like, the show we've created, I think you can feel off stage, like, it's just a family of people
Yeah,
just
it's
singing
important
together.
to celebrate that. Yeah, do these kinds of shows where you have genuine, beautiful stories and
Yeah.
just feeling the warmth. You know, when you want someone to go up and perform and feel like there's the audience is really for that person as opposed to.
And
you
people
know,
aren't going to judge you
comparing.
for singing a song that for example, that a black person sang. They're not going to judge you for it. Whereas if you were going to do it in
An audition.
a different, in an audition or in a different situation, it will be like, oh, well, you can't sing that because that's not your casting.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to have no kind of like,
Barriers.
Yeah,
just
let's
do,
just strip
do
it away.
whatever you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
completely.
And it's so nice sometimes hearing a song that wouldn't normally perform at that casting because it kind of brings new nuances to it, or that you wouldn't ever think.
But going back to the wonderful tenuous link I'd written.
The tenuous link.
The tenuous
Nick.
link. So just rewinding, like, I don't think anybody's anybody's like journey has been more inspiring than yours, than Suzie. Because just be barren, we used to perform together years ago. It makes it sound like we're very old.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Literally 5 years ago.
But no, it was, wasn't it? It was
Not even, like, 3 years ago? Not even.
It must have been about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
So is that when you guys met?
Yeah, we met 3 years ago.
So Nick knew me before I had cancer.
I did.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
But obviously knowing you for that long, like seeing everything you've overcome and you've gone through, it is genuinely inspiring because you do go, my days, I'm not going to take any more of your time. You say exactly what you've been doing and going through and all that stuff because you are amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, for people out there, so I'm 27 and I was diagnosed with a rare form of ovarian cancer when I was 25. So that was almost 3 years ago now. And it's just messed everything up, really. It's been really, really annoying. But I'm the kind of person that I don't really let things get me down too much, and so when I was first diagnosed, I knew that my hair was going to fall out due to chemo, and so then I thought, okay, I'll cut it short, I'll donate what I've got to the Little Princess Trust, I'll do some fundraising, like trying to make something positive out of a negative situation, and so it's kind of got to the point where now, like, I'm still optimistic, and I'm still kind of I'm gonna beat this thing, and I've been through chemo, I've been through 3 rounds of different surgeries to remove tumours, and I've just finished radiotherapy. And the kind of last hope of treatment that I've got in terms of getting rid of this thing, because I'm kind of running out of options now, is this immunotherapy. But unfortunately, because of how rare my cancer is, it's not available on the NHS. So
which is a
so we have to raise 250 grand for the treatment.
So much money.
Yep. And I mean, amazingly, we've been fundraising now for 2 or 3 months, and we've already got halfway. We're on about
have you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
yeah.
babe, congratulations.
It's like 110-ish grand that we've got now. So that's really cool, and I literally can't thank people enough for donating. Like, it's ridiculous. People I know, people I don't know, people like companies that I'd never even heard of. It's just like it's amazing. But yeah, and I just thank you guys for putting on this concert for me and to fundraise, and we're gonna have a really good time and raise money, and I'm gonna get rid of this cancer.
Yeah,
she is.
But
yeah, no, but honestly, Suzie, is genuinely such an inspiring story, and you say that you're kind of one of these people that doesn't let you try not to let things get you down, and like, but honestly, I'm trying to imagine myself in the same position, and I'm like, you know, the fact you even just said, like, you can imagine you know your hair's gonna go, and you think,
but
I'll donate it to the Princess Trust. I'm like, oh my god, you know,
that's your first thought.
I mean, I won't lie, my first thought was crying.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I know what I'll do.
So there's a big long list of side effects of chemotherapy, and the first one they said was, unfortunately, you are going to lose your hair, and I was just like, for about 20 minutes, and these oncologists were probably like, oh, fucking hell. God. Probably just like, oh my god, can we just get on with it, kind of thing. But yeah, it's like there's no, like, I see. Because I'm in the situation, I think it's really difficult as someone that trying to imagine being in this situation, because I think if I was to imagine being in this situation, I'd think exactly the same and think, how on earth could you cope? But being in this situation, you are forced to cope because you're doing it for yourself and for your own sanity, but you're also doing it for everyone around you. If I'm sat there crying all day every day, I'm gonna be a constant worry to everyone around me, and I don't want that. I don't want everyone to be worried about me. I want people to just be. I mean, people are worried about me, and I kind of understand that, but you've got to kind of. Just take each day as it comes.
It's accepting the reality of that it's a big thing, but also being proactive with it. It sounds like,
and also as well, it's like, I guess that reminder of, although I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but life still has to go on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's
it
like,
really does,
although this horrible, dreadful thing is happening, you still have to go, right, okay, well, what good can I still impart on the world? Like, what can I do, if not to, like, make myself feel better, but other people around me? And like,
oh, absolutely. And it's just also the thing that, like, I don't want to, like I'm an actor, and if you're an actor, you can't like go into the ether for 2 years and not do anything, because then people will look at your CV and be like, okay, what have you been doing for the last 2 years? And I mean, I've spoken to my agent about this, and he said you should, like, he said personally, I think you should be honest about it, because if people do ask you about it, they're going to be so much more impressed, but well, no, not impressed, but like they're going to be so much more kind of like, yes, about the fact that I've not just been fannying around doing doing my hair, like, you know, like it's not much to do anymore. You know, like
Susie's got a beautiful head of hair.
You do, though, to be fair.
She's
like,
made this joke, but she's
well, you've got a beautiful... Is it a pixie cut?
It's a pixie
cut.
Gorgeous.
It's stunning.
It's a bit long. I'm thinking of growing it out.
No, I like it. It's getting a little bit into like the emo fringe stage.
Oh my gosh,
I'm into
2004, my
I'm
Chem.
into that, yeah.
all the way across. But it's covering up my nice, very wrinkly forehead. Like, you know when you look surprised and you raise your eyebrows?
Oh, come on.
I have all of them.
No, I mean, look at this. Look.
Like, there's nothing there.
I mean, I would raise mine, but I've got a beautiful forehead.
Nick Chiappetta, everyone.
Nick's just got his beard trimmed, haven't you?
I have just beard shaped and trimmed, and I must say...
He's looking very smooth.
I mean, thank you. I do know. I'm joking.
We joked earlier that Nick looks a little bit like Susie's boyfriend. So Suzie, calm down. Just keep it.
I just didn't meet you soon enough. Carl, I love you.
And also, it doesn't also happen to help that I am also in the same boat as you and having a boyfriend. So if the listeners couldn't tell by my stunning dulcet tones...
Could you tell?
That's the question for the end of the podcast. Wow. Could we tell Nick had a boyfriend?
I don't know.
Yeah. And just I'm also, how long, because I think you mentioned to me that because you're just finishing doing the show now, have you been actively performing since, or have you kind of had a break and kind of come into it? Because I mean, with the treatment and everything, that's quite a lot to take, so it must have taken a bit of time and then come back in.
Yeah, so it's been, I mean, while I was on chemo, nothing, I didn't really do anything. I was just, you feel so terrible when you're on chemo that you just, I mean, like, my boyfriend took me on some holidays and things because he's amazing like that, and just to kind of make me feel nice and have things to look forward to. But since finishing chemo, I had a 1.5 years on a drugs trial, and I felt, I was like, wow. I was living incredibly healthily with cancer, and it was just, it was amazing. It was an amazing year, and I ran the marathon and did the Prudential Ride London and the 2 mile open water swim. I did all these things more to prove to myself that I was still able to do stuff. And but as well as that, because I wasn't like, well, I say I wasn't physically able, but it was more like I couldn't commit to doing a musical because I had doctor's appointments like every other week,
and
so it was quite kind of intrusive on my life in terms of like the hospital appointments and stuff. But I did go into doing a bit of like TV short film type stuff, but I mean, it wasn't. That's not what I love. I mean, I love acting and I enjoyed doing the short films and things, but it's not what I love. I love musicals and I love musical theatre and I love the live stage kind of. I love the applause. And,
she lives for the applause.
It's the real reason behind it.
The real reason behind it.
So this show that I've been doing, Voices from Across the World, is the first musical that I've been in since I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I've done like kind of concerts and like I said, I did my one woman show a couple of years back when I finished chemo, and I did the last Misfits concert and stuff. Nick made a cameo in my one woman show.
Yes, but if we look back to the video, it's very out of tune.
Oh dear, Nick.
It's really funny because she said, when did you say it to me? Like, you must have said it like a week or so before.
I think you saw it on the day. Actually.
Was that the one on the day?
That was the one.
So I saw it on the day, and I was like, "Oh, I know this song. I'll be fine."
Oh dear.
And then I just started singing it, and I sit there and I start singing it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm singing it in my own key here."
But it was also difficult because it was an ensemble kind of like backing sung by one voice, and so he took the soprano line and then changed to the bass line.
Oh, of course I did.
Yes.
I think I must have repressed that from my memory just because I know how ludicrous it would have sounded.
Sometimes you need to know, like, you know, just because you can
doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Motto for my life.
I massively appreciated it though because it did make the song.
I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Oh.
I thought you were going to say. I massively appreciated it though because it made
me
look better.
Good, yes.
And I'll say fair play.
Yes. So in answer to your question, I had a pause. Long digression. I have had a pause in stuff, but I've decided, like, since finishing kind of radiotherapy and going on to immunotherapy, I've decided that this is going to be my comeback in the industry, and I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Oh,
and
amazing.
if you want to see said comeback,
Yes.
then come to the Other Palace on October 21st, where you can see all of us perform, but especially Suzie Claire Aries here on 21st of October at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Was it what we're GMT?
Oh God! Yeah,
Greenwich Mean
for all
Time.
of you listeners in America.
We're gonna pop over.
So be there, be square.
Yeah, genuinely for a very, very good cause. Come and support this wonderful woman.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And thank you for listening.
Lots of love.
lots of love all. Bye now.
For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. You can email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk, listen to past episodes on iTunes and YouTube, and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.